The space station looked like a giant metal ring floating in the darkness. It spun slowly around the huge gas planet below. The planet was orange and yellow, with swirling clouds that never stopped moving. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the window of his ship and watched the station grow larger as they got closer. "Sir, we're almost there," said Lieutenant Amy Foster from behind him. She was looking at her control panel with worried eyes. "The other ships are already docked." Jake turned around and nodded. His ship, the USS Defiance, was not very big compared to the other vessels he could see. The alien ships were massive and covered in lights. Some had strange shapes that hurt to look at. Others were so long they seemed to go on forever. "Don't worry, Amy," Jake said. "We knew this would happen." The USS Defiance moved slowly toward the docking bay. Jake could see the other ships up close now. One ship was black and covered in sharp spikes. Another was silver and smooth like a mirror. The third ship was blue and seemed to be made of some kind of living metal that moved like water. "Docking complete," Amy said. "All systems are normal." Jake straightened his uniform and walked toward the door. Amy followed him. They both knew this meeting was very important. 3 months ago, aliens had found Earth. The aliens said they were part of something called the Galactic Council. They said humans might be able to join if they proved they were worthy. The docking tunnel was cold and smelled like metal. Jake and Amy walked through it until they reached the space station. The inside was huge. The ceiling was so high that Jake could barely see it. Strange lights floated in the air without any wires or supports. "Welcome, humans," said a voice behind them. Jake turned around and saw his first alien. It was tall and thin, with green skin and 4 arms. Its eyes were black and very large. It wore a white robe that seemed to glow. "I am Guide Zen," the alien said. "I will take you to the meeting room." They walked through long hallways filled with more aliens than Jake had ever imagined. Some were tall and some were short. Some had fur and others had scales. A few looked almost human, but their eyes were wrong, or they had too many fingers. The meeting room was round and very large. In the center was a big table with chairs around it. Some of the chairs were normal size, but others were huge or very small. Jake could see that each chair was made for a different type of alien. "Please sit," Guide Zen said, pointing to 2 normal-sized chairs. Jake and Amy sat down. Soon other aliens began to enter the room. The first one was enormous. It had red scales and yellow eyes. It walked on 2 legs, but its body was like a giant lizard. When it sat down, its chair groaned under its weight. "I am Admiral Vexstar of the Zephyrian Fleet," the creature said. Its voice was deep and rough. "So these are the humans we have heard about." Jake stood up. "I am Captain Jake Morrison. This is Lieutenant Amy Foster. We represent Earth." Admiral Vexstar looked at them for a long time. Then he started to laugh. It was not a nice laugh. "These small things?" he said. "They look like children playing dress-up." Another alien entered the room. This one looked like a giant insect. It had 6 legs and 2 arms. Its head was shaped like a triangle, and its eyes were made of many small parts. It made clicking sounds as it moved. "I am Ambassador Krilda of the Mantari Collective," it said. Its voice sounded like metal scraping. "On metal, we have studied your species. Your technology is very primitive." Jake felt his face getting hot, but he said nothing. Amy's hands were tight on her chair. A third alien came in. This one was covered in blue skin that looked wet. It had gills on its neck and webbed fingers. Water dripped from its body as it walked. "Commander Thane of the Nereid Deep Fleet," it said. Its voice sounded like it was talking underwater. "We have seen your ships. They are very small and weak. More aliens filled the room. They all looked at Jake and Amy like they were looking at bugs. Some of them whispered to each other and pointed. Jake heard them laughing. "Your ship, Admiral." Vexstar said, "What did you call it?" "The USS Defiance," Jake said. "Defiance?" The big lizard alien laughed again. "What does it defy? Common sense? That little thing could not fight a cargo ship. We scanned it when you arrived," Ambassador Krilda said. "It has no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no quantum drives. How do you even move through space?" "Chemical rockets," Commander Thane said with a wet laugh. "Like ancient history." Jake felt Amy move beside him. She was angry. He put his hand on her arm to keep her calm. "We came here to learn," Jake said, "not to fight." "Good thing," Admiral Vexstar said, "because fighting is not something you could do." The other aliens laughed. The sound filled the room and made Jake's ears hurt. He looked around at all the strange faces staring at him. Some had too many eyes. Others had no eyes at all. But they were all looking at him like he was a joke. "Perhaps," said a new voice, "we should begin the meeting." Everyone turned to look at the speaker. It was another alien, but this one was different. It was tall and thin like Gaidzen, but its skin was silver instead of green. It wore a golden robe and had a crown made of light floating above its head. "I am High Counselor Nexus," it said. "I speak for the Galactic Council." The room became quiet. All the aliens sat up straighter in their chairs. "We are here to decide if humans can join the Council," High Counselor Nexus said. "But first, we must see if they are worthy." Jake stood up again. "What do we need to do?" "You must prove you are strong enough to protect yourselves," the High Counselor said. "The galaxy is dangerous. Weak species do not survive." Admiral Vexstar smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Yes, let us see how strong they are." Jake looked at Amy. She was still angry, but she nodded at him. They both knew this moment would come. "We're ready," Jake said. The aliens looked at each other and smiled. Jake could tell they were planning something that would not be fair. But Jake had secrets too, secrets that would surprise them all. High Counselor Nexus raised one silver hand. The room became completely silent. Even the floating lights seemed to dim. "The test is simple," the High Counselor said. "Every species that joins the Council must prove they can defend themselves. You must show us your military strength." Jake felt his heart beat faster. He had expected this, but hearing it made it real. "What kind of test?" Amy asked. Admiral Vexstar leaned forward in his chair. His yellow eyes were bright with excitement. "A combat demonstration. Ship against ship." "That seems fair," Jake said carefully. "Oh, it will be very fair," Ambassador Krilda said. Her metal voice made clicking sounds that might have been laughter. "We will give you a real challenge." Commander Thane's wet skin seemed to shine brighter. "Yes, a real test of your abilities." Jake looked around the room. All the aliens were watching him. Some looked excited. Others looked bored, like they already knew what would happen. "What are the rules?" Jake asked. High Counselor Nexus touched a control on the table. The air above them filled with light. The light formed into a picture of the space around the station. "Simple rules," the High Counselor said. "Your ship will face enemy ships in battle. You may use any weapons you have. The battle ends when one side cannot fight anymore. How many enemy ships?" Amy asked. Admiral Vexstar's smile grew wider. "3 of my destroyers." "Small ships, really?" "Nothing too difficult." Jake knew this was a trap. 3 against 1 was not fair. But he also knew he could not say no. 3 ships against 1? Jake said. "That does not seem fair." "Life is not fair," Commander Thane said. In real space battles, you will often face more enemies than friends. Besides, Ambassador Krilda said, our ships are much smaller than some others. We are being kind. Jake looked at the picture floating above the table. He could see the 3 Zephyrian destroyers. They were much bigger than the USS Defiance. Each one was covered in weapons and armor. Your ships look very advanced, Jake. Sighed, they are, Admiral Vextar said proudly. Energy shields that can stop any attack. Plasma cannons that can melt through any armor. Quantum drives that make them faster than light itself. And your ship? Ambassador Krilda asked. What weapons does it have? Jake thought carefully before answering. Standard human weapons. Which are? Commander Thane asked. Kinetic weapons. Chemical explosives. Simple things. The aliens looked at each other. Some of them started laughing again. Kinetic weapons? Admiral Vextar said. You mean you throw rocks at your enemies? Not rocks, Jake said. Metal projectiles. Even worse, Ambassador Krilda said. Metal bullets cannot hurt energy shields. They will bounce off like raindrops. Jake said nothing. He let them think what they wanted to think. This is almost too easy, Commander Thane said. Perhaps we should make it more interesting. How? High Counselor Nexus asked. If the humans lose, Commander Thane said, they cannot join the Council for 100 years. And if they win? Jake asked. Admiral Vextar laughed so hard that his chair shook. If you win, we will make you honorary members of the Council immediately. You would do that? Amy asked. Of course, Ambassador Krilda said. But you will not win. My calculations show your chances of victory are very small. How? Small? Jake asked. Ambassador Krilda's triangle head moved as she thought. Less than 1%. Perhaps 1 in 1,000. Those are not good odds, Amy whispered to Jake. We accept, Jake said loudly. The room exploded with noise. Aliens were talking to each other in dozens of different languages. Some were laughing. Others were making bets on how quickly the human ship would be destroyed. Excellent, High Counselor Nexus said. The battle will take place tomorrow at mid-cycle. That gives everyone time to prepare. Prepare for what? Admiral Vextar asked. This will be over in minutes. My ships will not even need to use full power, he told the other aliens. We will disable their weapons first. Then we will destroy their engines. Finally, we will break their ship apart piece by piece. Why not just destroy them quickly? Commander Thane asked. Where is the fun in that? Admiral Vextar said, I want them to suffer. I want them to know how weak they really are. Jake felt Amy tense beside him. He put his hand on her shoulder. We understand, Jake said. Tomorrow at mid-cycle. One more thing, Ambassador Krilda said. All members of the Council will watch. This battle will be recorded and sent to every planet in the galaxy. Why? Jake asked. To show other primitive species what happens when they challenge the Council. Commander Thane said, Your defeat will be a lesson to others. Jake stood up. We need to prepare our ship. Of course, High Counselor Nexus said. Guide Zen will show you back to your docking bay. As Jake and Amy walked toward the door, they could hear the aliens talking behind them. I almost feel sorry for them, one alien said. They are so small and weak, said another. Their ship looks like a toy, said a third. This will be the shortest battle in Council history, Admiral Vextar said. I should make it last longer for entertainment. Jake and Amy walked through the long hallways back to their ship. They did not talk until they were safely inside the USS Defiance. Sir, Amy said, as soon as the door closed, this is a trap. I know, Jake said. They want to humiliate us. They want to show the whole galaxy that humans are weak. I know that too. Then why did you agree? Amy asked. Jake smiled for the first time since arriving at the station. Because they do not know what our ship can really do. Amy looked confused. What do you mean? Amy, do you remember what our real mission orders were? Amy thought for a moment. Then her eyes went wide. Oh, that's right, Jake said. They think this is a normal diplomatic ship. They have no idea what the USS Defiance really is. Should we tell them? Amy asked. No, Jake said. Let them find out tomorrow. Jake walked to the bridge and sat in his captain's chair. He looked out at the alien ships docked around them. They were big and impressive and covered in weapons. But Jake knew something the aliens did not know. The USS Defiance was not what it seemed to be. It was not a simple diplomatic vessel. It was something much more dangerous. Tomorrow, the aliens would learn that looks can be very deceiving. Tomorrow, they would discover that humans were not as weak as they appeared. Tomorrow, Jake would show them what human military technology could really do. He smiled again. This was going to be very interesting. Admiral Vextar walked through the corridors of his flagship with heavy steps. His claws made scratching sounds on the metal floor. Behind him, 3 of his best officers followed. Sir, said Commander Corvex, the human ship is very small. Should we even bother with all 3 destroyers? Admiral Vextar stopped walking and turned around. His yellow eyes glowed with amusement. You think we should use fewer ships? Well, sir, it seems like we could win with just 1 destroyer. Maybe even a scout ship, the Admiral laughed. You do not understand, Corvex. This is not about winning. This is about showing the galaxy what happens to weak species. They entered the war room. The walls were covered with screens showing the USS Defiance from every angle. The human ship looked tiny compared to the Zephyrian destroyers. Look at it, Admiral Vextar said, pointing at the main screen. It has no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no quantum drives. It is like a flying metal box. What are those things? On the outside? Asked Lieutenant Drax, pointing at several objects on the human ship's hull. Kinetic weapon launchers, Commander Corvex said. They fire metal projectiles using chemical explosives. The officers started laughing. Chemical explosives? Lieutenant Drax said. Like the ancient weapons our ancestors used thousands of years ago? Even worse, Admiral Vextar said. At least our ancestors had the excuse of being primitive. These humans have seen our advanced technology and still choose to use metal bullets. On another screen, they could see Captain Jake Morrison and Lieutenant Amy Foster walking around their ship. They looked very small and very human. They look worried, Lieutenant Drax observed. They should be, Admiral Vextar said. Tomorrow, I will destroy their ship slowly. First, I will disable their weapons. Then I will break their engines. Finally, I will tear their ship apart piece by piece. Why not just destroy them quickly? Commander Corvex asked. Because I want every species in the galaxy to see what happens when someone challenges the Zephyrian fleet, Admiral Vextar said. Fear is a powerful tool. Meanwhile, in the Montari section of the space station, Ambassador Krilda was meeting with her own officers. The insect-like aliens sat around a triangular table, their many eyes focused on data screens. Analysis complete, said Science Officer Zick. The human ship has no chance of victory. Show me the numbers, Ambassador Krilda said. Their kinetic weapons can fire projectiles at approximately 3,000 meters per second, Zick said. Our energy shields can stop projectiles moving at speeds up to 50,000 meters per second. So their weapons cannot hurt our allies' ships? Correct. The metal projectiles will bounce off the energy shields, like insects hitting a window. Ambassador Krilda clicked her mandibles together. What about their armor? Very thin. Made of simple steel and titanium. One plasma blast will cut through it like paper. And their speed? Chemical rockets can only push them at very slow speeds. The Zephyrian ships are 10 times faster. Excellent, Ambassador Krilda said. This battle will be over in less than 5 minutes. In the Nereid area, Commander Thane was floating in a tank of water, speaking to his officers through underwater. Communication devices. The humans are doomed, he said. Their technology is hundreds of years behind ours. Should we feel sorry for them? Asked Captain Reef. No, Commander Thane said. They chose to come here. They chose to accept the challenge. If they are too weak to survive, that is their problem. What will happen to them after they lose? Captain Reef asked. They will be sent back to their planet, Commander Thane said. They will not be allowed to join the Council for 100 years. By then, they might have learned to build proper ships. Back on the USS Defiance, Jake and Amy were having a very different conversation. Computer, activate Security Protocol Alpha 7, Jake said. Security Protocol Alpha 7 activated, the computer replied. All recording devices disabled. All communication systems locked. Amy looked around the bridge. Are you sure about this, sir? We have no choice, Jake said. Show me the real specifications. The main screen changed. Instead of showing the space station, it now showed detailed plans of the USS Defiance. But these were not the plans the aliens had seen. Adaptive. Armor plating. Jake read from the screen. Designed to absorb and disperse energy attacks. They think our armor is simple steel, Amy said. Let them think that, Jake said. What else? Mark V rail guns, Amy continued. Magnetic acceleration systems that can fire projectiles at near light. Speed. And they think we use chemical explosives, Jake said with a smile. Quantum targeting computer, Amy read. Can lock onto targets from a distance of 1 million kilometers. Advanced stealth systems, Jake added. Gravitic drive that produces no energy signature. Amy looked at the screen with wonder. Sir, this ship is not what it appears to be. That was the point, Jake said. Earth's military leaders knew this day would come. They knew we would have to prove ourselves to the galaxy. So they built a ship that looks weak, but is actually very strong? Exactly. The USS Defiance is not a diplomatic vessel. It is a prototype stealth destroyer, the most advanced warship humanity has ever built. Amy stared at the specifications. These weapons could destroy entire fleets. They could, Jake agreed. But tomorrow, we will only face 3 ships. The aliens have no idea what they are up against, Amy said. None at all, Jake said. They see a small ship with old-fashioned weapons. They have no idea that our metal bullets are actually quantum-enhanced, projectiles that can punch through any known armor. And our chemical rockets are actually the most advanced propulsion system in the galaxy. Amy added. Jake looked out at the alien ships. They were impressive, but they were built for fighting. Enemies who used similar technology. They were not designed to fight against human innovation. Sir, Amy said, should we warn them? Warn them about what? About what will happen tomorrow. About what our ship can really do. Jake thought about this. They had their chance to be respectful. They chose to mock us instead. They called us weak, Amy said. They called our ship a toy, Jake added. They want to humiliate us in front of the entire galaxy. Then tomorrow, we will show them what human ships can really do, Jake said. We will show them that appearances can be very deceiving. Jake activated the ship's internal communication system. Attention, crew. Tomorrow we face 3 enemy ships in combat. The aliens think we are weak. They think our ship is primitive. They are wrong. Throughout the ship, the crew listened to their captain's words. Tomorrow, we will show the galaxy what humans are capable of, Jake continued. We will show them that we are not weak. We are not primitive. We are not toys. Tomorrow, we will Show them that the USS Defiance is the most dangerous ship in this sector of space. Get some rest, crew. Tomorrow, we make history. Jake turned off the communication system. Amy was smiling now. Sir, she said, I almost feel sorry for them. Don't. Jake said, they brought this on themselves. Outside, the alien ships sat in their docking bays, their crews preparing for what they thought would be an easy victory. They had no idea that tomorrow would change everything. Tomorrow, they would learn that humans were not the weak species. They appeared to be. Tomorrow, they would discover that the USS Defiance was not what it seemed. Tomorrow, the galaxy would see what happened when someone underestimated humanity. The space around the station was filled with ships. Hundreds of alien vessels had come to watch the battle. They formed a huge circle around the combat zone, their lights twinkling like stars. Jake stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching. The 3 Zephyrian destroyers take their positions. Each ship was 3 times larger than his vessel. Their hulls were covered in armor and weapons. Energy shields shimmered around them like blue fire. All alien ships are in position, Amy reported. From her station. They're forming a triangle pattern around us. Standard pack hunting formation, Jake said. They plan to attack from 3 sides at once. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Vextar, the communications officer said. Put it on. Screen, Jake ordered. The alien's massive face appeared on the main screen. His yellow eyes were bright with excitement. His sharp teeth gleamed as he smiled. Human Captain, Admiral Vextar said, this is your last chance to surrender. I will make your death quick if you give up now. We did not come here to surrender. Jake replied, then you came here to die, the Admiral said. My ships have weapons that can destroy planets. Your little toy cannot hurt us. We will see, Jake said. Admiral Vextar's laugh filled the bridge. Yes, we will see. Begin the battle. The transmission ended. Jake turned to his crew. All hands, battle stations, he announced. Amy, take us to attack position. Yes, sir, Amy said. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls. Engines online. All systems ready. The USS Defiance began to move. It looked slow and clumsy compared to the sleek alien ships. The watching aliens in the other vessels laughed and made jokes. Look at it wobble, one alien said over the communication channel. It moves like a sick animal, said another. This will be over in seconds, said a third. Admiral Vextar's voice boomed across all frequencies. Attack Formation Alpha. Disable their weapons first. I want them to suffer. The 3 Zephyrian destroyers moved toward the USS Defiance. There, PLASMA cannons began to glow with deadly energy. They're charging weapons, Amy reported. Let them, Jake said calmly. Wait for my command. The first destroyer fired. A beam of pure energy shot across space toward the human ship. The aliens watching cheered, expecting to see the USS Defiance explode. But something strange happened. The energy beam hit the ship's hull and seemed to disappear. The armor glowed for a moment, then returned to normal. What? Admiral Vextar sighed. Fire again. All 3 destroyers fired together. 3 massive energy beams hit the USS Defiance from different angles. The ship was surrounded by deadly plasma fire, but when the energy faded, the human ship was still there. It was not damaged at all. Impossible, Admiral Vextar said. Our weapons are the most powerful in the galaxy. Sir, Commander Korvax said, their armor is absorbing our energy attacks. That cannot be, Admiral Vextar said. They have primitive technology. How can they stop our plasma cannons? Jake smiled. Amy, run a full scan of their ships. Find their weak points. Already done. Sir, Amy said. Their energy shields are powerful, but they have gaps at the engine ports and weapon mounts. Perfect. Jake said. All weapons. Target the first destroyer. Aim for the engine section. Sir, they're moving into ramming position, Amy reported. They're going to try to destroy us with their ships. Let them come closer, Jake said. Fire when ready. The USS Defiance fired its weapons. But these were not the primitive kinetic weapons the aliens expected. These were railguns that used magnetic fields to accelerate projectiles to incredible speeds. The metal projectiles hit the first destroyer's energy shield. The aliens expected the bullets to bounce off harmlessly. Instead, the projectiles punched through the shield like it was made of paper. Impossible, Admiral Vextar screamed. Energy shields cannot be penetrated by kinetic weapons. But the human projectiles were not normal metal bullets. They were quantum-enhanced and moving at near-light speed. They tore through the destroyers. Armor like tissue paper. Explosions bloomed across the alien ship's hull. Its engines died. Its weapons went silent. The massive destroyer began to drift helplessly in space. One ship down, Jake said. 2 to go. The watching aliens fell silent. They could not believe what they had seen. How did they do that? Ambassador Krilda asked. Their weapons should not be able to hurt our ships, Commander Thane said. Something is wrong, High Counselor Nexus said. Scan the human ship again. But there was no time for scanning. The USS Defiance was already moving again. They're faster than they should be, Admiral Vextar said. How are they moving so quickly? The human ship seemed to dance between the 2 remaining destroyers. It moved in ways that should have been impossible for a ship of its size. Sir, their ship is not using chemical rockets, Commander Korvax said. I'm detecting gravitic drive. Signatures. Gravitic drives? Admiral Vextar said. But only the most advanced species have that technology. Sir, I think we made a mistake, Commander Korvax said. I think this ship is not what it appears to be. The USS Defiance fired again. This time, the target was the second destroyer's weapon systems. The railgun projectiles hit with perfect accuracy, destroying the alien ship's plasma cannons one by one. Return fire, Admiral Vextar ordered. The second destroyer tried to shoot back, but it had no weapons left. The third destroyer fired its plasma cannons, but the USS Defiance was moving too fast. The energy beams missed their target completely. They're making us look like fools, Admiral Vextar said. Sir, Commander Korvax said, I recommend we retreat. Retreat? Admiral Vextar roared. We are the Zephyrian fleet. We do not retreat from anyone. But even as he spoke, the USS Defiance was lining up its next shot. The railguns fired again, this time targeting the second destroyer's engines. The projectiles hit their mark. The destroyer's engines exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The ship went dark and began to spin out of control. 2 ships down, Jake said. Amy, target the flagship. Admiral Vextar's ship was the largest of the 3 destroyers. It had the most weapons and the strongest armor. But it was also the slowest. Sir, Amy said, the flagship is trying to escape. Don't let it, Jake said. Maximum speed. The USS Defiance shot forward like a bullet. Its gravitic drive pushed it faster than any of the alien ships could go. In seconds, it was right behind Admiral Vextar's flagship. Impossible, Admiral Vextar said. No ship can be that fast. Sir, Commander Korvax said, I think we have been deceived. This is not a primitive ship. This is one of the most advanced warships I have ever seen. But they said they had primitive technology, Admiral Vextar said. They lied, Commander Korvax said, or we made assumptions. The USS Defiance moved into position directly behind the flagship. Its railguns aimed at the alien ship's main engines. Admiral Vextar, Jake's voice came over the communication channel. This is your last chance to surrender. Never. Admiral Vexstar screamed, "Zephyrians do not surrender." "Then you have chosen," Jake said. The rail guns fired. The projectiles struck the flagship's engines with devastating force. But this time, Jake had ordered maximum power. The explosions were so bright that they could be seen from the space station. Admiral Vexstar's flagship broke apart in a shower of metal and fire. The battle was over. 3 of the most powerful warships in the Zephyrian fleet had been destroyed by a single human vessel. The watching aliens sat in stunned silence. They could not believe what they had seen. "How?" Ambassador Krilda whispered. "How is that possible?" Commander Thane asked. Jake's voice came over the communication channel, speaking to all the ships in the area. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Defiance," he said. "The demonstration is complete. We are ready to continue the membership discussions." The aliens looked at each other. They had mocked the humans. They had called them weak and primitive. Now, they realized they had made a terrible mistake. The space around the station was filled with debris. Pieces of the 3 Zephyrian destroyers floated in the darkness like metal snow. Where Admiral Vexstar's flagship had been, there was now only empty space and glowing particles. The USS Defiance hung motionless in the center of the destruction. Its hull was unmarked. Its weapons were still charged and ready. It looked exactly the same as when the battle had started. Inside the ship, Jake stood on the bridge with his hands behind his back. Amy was checking the ship's systems, but there was nothing to check. They had not taken any damage at all. "Sir," Amy said, "all systems are normal. No damage to report." "How long did the battle last?" Jake asked. Amy looked at her chronometer. 11 minutes and 43 seconds, sir." "That long?" Jake said with a small smile. "I thought it would be faster." Around them, the alien ships that had come to watch the battle were completely silent. No one was laughing now. No one was making jokes about the primitive human ship. "Sir," the communications officer said, "we're receiving thousands of transmission." "Requests? From who?" Jake asked. "Everyone, sir. Every ship in the area wants to talk to us." Jake looked at the main screen. It showed the space station and all the alien vessels around it. Some of the ships were moving away, trying to put distance between themselves and the USS Defiance. "Put High Counselor Nexus through," Jake said. The silver alien's face appeared on the screen. For the first time since Jake had met him, High Counselor Nexus looked shocked. "Captain Morrison," the High Counselor said slowly. "That was unexpected." "Was it?" Jake asked. "You said we needed to prove we could defend ourselves. We did. But the Zephyrian fleet," High Counselor Nexus said. "Those were some of our most powerful warships." "They were well-built ships," Jake agreed, "but they were not prepared for human technology." On the space station, chaos was spreading through the meeting rooms. Aliens were running back and forth, shouting in dozens of different languages. Emergency alarms were ringing. Ambassador Krilda sat at her triangular table, staring at her computer screens. All her calculations had been wrong, completely wrong. "Science." "Officer Zick," she said, "run the analysis again." "I have run it 17 times, Zick replied. "The results are the same. The human weapons should not have been able to penetrate our energy shields." "Then how did they do it?" Ambassador Krilda asked. "I do not know," Zick said. "They're projectiles. We're moving faster than our instruments could measure. They were not using chemical explosives. They were using some kind of magnetic acceleration system." "Magnetic acceleration?" Ambassador Krilda's triangle head tilted. "That is impossible. No species has been able to make kinetic weapons that powerful." "The humans have," Zick said simply. In the near-aid section, Commander Thane was floating in his tank, but the water around him was bubbling with his agitation. "Captain Reef," he said, "what did we just witness?" "I am not sure, sir." Captain Reef replied. The human ship moved faster than any vessel I have ever seen. It was like it was dancing between the destroyer attacks. Their ship was supposed to use chemical rockets, Commander Thane said. But I detected gravitic drive signatures. Very advanced gravitic drives. Sir, Captain Reef said carefully, I think the humans were not honest about their technology. No, Commander Thane said. I think we made assumptions. We saw a small ship and decided it must be primitive. We were wrong. Back on the bridge of the USS Defiance, Jake was receiving more communication requests every second. Sir, the communications. Officer said, we have requests from the Altarian Empire, the Vegan Confederation, the Centauri Alliance, and 47 other species. What do they want? Jake asked. Most of them want to know how we destroyed the Zephyrian ships so easily. A few want to offer us trade agreements. Several want to form military alliances. And the Galactic Council? Jake asked. High Counselor Nexus is requesting an immediate meeting, Amy said. Tell him we will be there in 1 hour, Jake said. We need to secure our ship first. Jake activated the ship's communication system. Attention, crew. We have completed our mission successfully. The galaxy now knows that humans are not weak. They know we can defend ourselves. Throughout the ship, the crew cheered. But remember, Jake continued, we are still diplomats. We came here to join the Galactic Council, not to make enemies. Be respectful when dealing with the aliens. 1 hour later, Jake and Amy walked through the corridors of the space station. The hallways were much more crowded than before. Aliens were gathering in groups, whispering to each other, and pointing when the humans walked by. But the pointing was different now. Before, the aliens had pointed and laughed. Now they pointed with respect and fear. When Jake and Amy reached the meeting room, they found it packed with aliens. Every seat was filled, and more aliens stood along the walls. High Counselor Nexus was already seated at the head of the table. His silver face was serious. Captain Morrison, he said as Jake sat down, we need to discuss what happened today. Of course, Jake said. What would you like to know? Your ship, Ambassador Krilda said from across the table. It is not what? You told us it was. What did I tell you it was? Jake asked. You said it was a diplomatic vessel, Commander Thane said. You said it had primitive weapons. I said it had standard human weapons, Jake corrected. I never said they were primitive. You let us believe your technology was simple, Ambassador Krilda said. You assumed our technology was simple, Jake replied. That was your mistake. Not ours. High Counselor Nexus raised his hand for silence. Captain Morrison, your ship destroyed 3 advanced warships in less than 12 minutes. How is this possible? Jake looked around the room. Every alien was staring at him, waiting for his answer. Humans, Jake said, have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We have learned to be very good at it. But your weapons, Commander, Thane said. Kinetic weapons should not be able to penetrate energy shields. Most kinetic weapons cannot, Jake agreed. But our railguns do not fire normal projectiles. They fire quantum-enhanced rounds at near-light speed. Quantum enhancement? Ambassador Krilda said, that is theoretical technology. Not for humans. Jake said, we have been working on it for 50 years. And your ship's speed? High Counselor Nexus asked. Gravitic drive, Amy said. We can manipulate gravity fields to move faster than conventional engines allow. Gravitic drives are the most advanced propulsion technology in the galaxy, Commander Thane said. Only 3 species have ever mastered them. Now 4, Jake said. The room fell silent. The aliens looked at each other with new understanding. You have been deceiving us, Ambassador Krilda said. No, Jake said firmly. You have been deceiving yourselves. You saw humans for the first time and decided we were weak. You never asked what we were capable of. You just assumed. But why did you let us think you were primitive? High Counselor Nexus asked. Because, Jake said, we wanted to see what kind of people you really are. We wanted to know if you would treat us with respect or if you would mock us. And what did you learn? High Counselor Nexus asked. We learned that many of you judge others by their appearance, Jake said. You saw a small ship and assumed it was weak. You saw humans for the first time and decided we were inferior. Jake stood up and looked around the room. But we also learned that some of you are willing to listen, he continued. Some of you are willing to learn. Those are the people we want to work with. High Counselor Nexus was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. Captain Morrison, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I formally invite humanity to join us as full members. We accept, Jake said. The room erupted in noise. Some aliens were cheering. Others were arguing. A few were making rapid calculations on their data devices. However, High Counselor Nexus continued, there will be conditions. What conditions? Jake asked. Your military technology, High Counselor Nexus said. It is more advanced than anything we have seen. Some species will see you as a threat. We did not come here to threaten anyone, Jake said. We came here to make friends. But your ship, Ambassador Krilda said, it could destroy entire fleets. Yes, Jake said, it could, but it will only be used to defend ourselves and our allies. How can we be sure? Commander Thane asked. Jake smiled. Because if we wanted to conquer the galaxy, we would have brought more than one ship. The aliens looked at each other. That was a good point. Captain Morrison, High Counselor Nexus said, welcome to the Galactic Council. As Jake and Amy walked back to their ship, they could hear the aliens behind them talking excitedly. Did you hear what he said? One alien whispered. If they wanted to conquer the galaxy, they would have brought more ships. How many ships do you think they have? Asked another. I do not want to find out, said a third. Jake smiled as he listened. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. They had learned an important lesson today. Appearances could be very deceiving. And humans were much more dangerous than they looked. The USS Defiance undocked from the space station and began its journey back to Earth. Behind them, the aliens were already making plans. Some wanted to be friends with humanity. Others wanted to stay far away. But all of them had learned the same lesson. Never mock a human warship. You might not live to regret it.